So Better Men is a very important song to me. It's a song that I got the idea for talking to an old friend from college and hearing about the news that he was going through a divorce. And he was a really good friend, one of the most solid, salt of the earth people I've ever known. We kind of lost touch after college when we were catching up last year, and I heard that news and it just didn't sit right. Knowing that he was going through that, and it kind of made me start asking the question of why is it that better people, better men than me don't have some of the things that I have in this life. I have a beautiful wife and two beautiful children, coming up on 7 years of marriage, and I've been very blessed in my marriage, and it just didn't sit right that this friend was going through what he was going through, and so that kind of prompted the idea. The first line that I wrote was meant to go in the chorus or verse somewhere, and ended up becoming the first pre-chorus. Better men than me are waking up in half-made beds, and they'll fall asleep alone the night again. And I wrote that first, and then I kind of wrote the lines that became the chorus. I can't explain the way things happen like they do. Why the Mississippi's muddy, why the sky is painted blue, why better men than me don't have it better than I do. And I didn't really know where to go from there. And it just added that line at the end of the chorus, why I'm the one that's lying next to you. And when I added that line, it really kind of turned into a love song, and I wrote backwards from there, and it really kind of just shifted where the song was going. It went from a sad song about my friend's story to a love song about my wife and my marriage. So I started writing backwards from that with that new kind of perspective on the song. The first verse felt like it needed to be about who I was before I met Jenna. And I was a reckless 19, 20-year-old kid with a wild streak. And I made some bad decisions and got into some trouble. And that's kind of what the first verse is setting up. I'm a foot on the gas in the fast lane. I'll never look back like a runaway train. I'm smoking if you got 'em, always living in the here and now. That was me before I met Jenna. And so wrote that verse and led into the chorus. From a production standpoint, I worked with Sal Laveri down in Nashville, who does all my production, and he assembled a really great band of studio players to play it. And every time that Sal and I record together, we've been working together for 8 or 9 years now. Whenever we record together, we record a full band live. The band plays together, and then we overdub guitar and keys and stuff like that as needed. But we always record with an acoustic full drum kit. And so we started tracking the song with a full drum kit, and it was just a little too heavy for the first verse. We really wanted to create some space and some openness in the first verse, just to kind of lend itself more to the emotion of the first verse. And the drum kit was just a little too much, and so Sal pulled the drum kit out of the first verse and ended up programming this electronic drum thing with a shaker going over it. And the kick that he programmed sounds like almost like a heartbeat. And he's got this snare going with this big reverb effect. And then Nate Duggar, who played the guitar on this one, played the acoustic part that I had written. And it kind of is what drives the first verse through, that finger picking on the acoustic. And then just, to add emotion, Nate just kind of followed that guitar part with electric stuff. Just one hits on the chords and just kind of a swell over the top of all of it. And then we got into the chorus, and the band started to kind of fill in a bit more over the top of the first chorus, and you can hear when it's all brought together it's still not over the top, it's still not really big production. The song never gets too big, but the chorus is where it kind of starts to build a bit, and then we get into the second verse here. We'll skip to the second verse. Here we go. And you hear that cymbal swell into the full drum kit. So the second verse lyrically was really writing more about Jenna and who she is. The first thing that strikes you about Jenna is her beauty. And she really is the kind of person that turns a head in a full room. And not just because of her beauty, but because of her personality, because of her warmth. She just draws people in. And when we are in social settings together, she is the spotlight. She's the center of attention, and I prefer it that way. But people just kind of flock to her because she's just a warm, beautiful person inside and out. And so the second verse is really just kind of contrasting who she and I are. And they say opposites attract, and my marriage is proof of that. We're very different people, and I appreciate our differences. I appreciate that, she was able to see through some of my past and things like that, and still settled down with me. And the second pre-chorus gets to, I know I ain't no Romeo to make you Juliet. What you get is what you see, and what you see is what you get. And that is the truth of Jenna and I. I am no fairy tale ending to her story. No knight in shining armor, but she knew who I was, and she knew about my past when we got married, and she's loved me through all that stuff, and I'm very grateful for that. Then the chorus, goes again. It's the second chorus is a little bit bigger than the first even. Again, not too big, but there's a little more electric guitar, a little more bass at this point. The drums push in a little bit more. And then we get to the bridge, and lyrically the bridge is, if I were in your shoes, I'd be a long way gone by now. If you saw me how I see me, you'd have never stuck around. And that's kind of the question I've tried to answer, throughout my marriage, is why did Jenna stick around? And it's something I'll never understand. And then we get into the last chorus, and it kind of breaks down and builds back up again, just to kind of, dynamically lift the song a bit on the back end of it. And that's kind of it from a production standpoint. It was really simple. It was interesting how this song started as a sad song and really turned into one of my favorite love songs that I've ever written about my wife. And I think that the reason I like this song so much is because it was really good for me to go through this process and write this. I write a lot of sad songs, and I'm actually a very happy, content person. But just the way I think about things sometimes kind of has a sad undertone to it. And this song was really good for me to realize that it is not my job to answer the question of why better men than me don't have it better than I do. It is my job to be grateful for and not take for granted the things that I am blessed with, whether that be my marriage or my kids or my job or my family or my house or whatever it is. My job is not to answer that question. My job is to pour into those things and invest in those things and give them the attention that they deserve and that they require. And so I hope as you listen to this song, I hope you're pointed towards gratitude as well, and you think about those relationships that you do have, and pour into them and invest in them as they need. That's all we can do, and that's what this song did for me, and I hope it does the same for you.
And I can't explain the way things happen like they do. Why that Mississippi is muddy, or why the sky is painted blue. Why better men